Welcome in, everyone. Oh boy, I'm so excited for tonight. Can't wait. The Subscriber League auction draft is 15 minutes away. We are starting at 7:15, but thought I'd start the live stream a little bit early, introduce you to everyone involved. Let's fucking go, baby. No, we didn't get the mix up on the intro this time. Had to have everything in order well in advance. So here we are. We are drafting on ESPN, and let's take a look at the draft board real quick. Nominating first, we have Johnny Football, Jonathan Day in here. Speak of the devil, let's fucking go. Love to see it. I will acknowledge if there is ever a night where I'm not going to be paying attention to the chat as much, it's probably tonight. But either way, let that you can do whatever you want with the chat. I'll be a little more laser focused. Hopefully, a little more laser focused. But longtime viewer of the channel. I think he was with me since like 23 subscribers, and very excited. Good luck, my friend, Jonathan. At number one, nominating second, we have Jared Stanishek, new member of the Subscriber League this year, aka Pirate Ghost. And I hope you enjoyed your contribution to the thumbnail. Every time I think of a Pirate Ghost, I gotta think of Pirates of the Caribbean, Jeffrey Rush stepping into the moonlight and turning into a skeleton. That one brought me back. What a great movie. I got Ramley in here at number three, Matt Barrero. And last year, you may have known him as Nakua Matata. I let him know maybe advertising your favorite player as your team name doesn't help you get him at a discount. We're not going to forget, buddy. We're going to remind everyone you love the Rams. It's quite obvious. But I am nominating at number four. My team name is 4th and 20. And given him I'm in slot 4, that feels very appropriate. I'm really digging all of the vibes. Last year, I made it into the playoffs as the 4 seed, and we took home the chip. Let's win this draft out of the 4 slot. But at number 5, currently yet to log in, Ethan Annabelle, aka Sun God Squad. Get your shit together, bro. Get in here. We'll be drafting soon. But we still have another 12 minutes. He's got a little time. Not going to bust his balls too much. But at number 6, nominating longtime member of the Subscriber League, Jason Hopkins, aka Gogo Bongzilla, one of the hardest additions to the thumbnail. Godzilla taking a rip from the bong, gotta be one of the hardest PNGs I download off of removebg.com. But nominating at number 7, we got Angus McKay, who's frequented here on the live streams, whether it's during the podcast episodes or in the Subscriber League. His team name is We Did It, Joe. Odd to Kamala Harris, and hopefully your draft campaign tonight goes better than Kamala's last year. At number 8 in the draft order, we have Christopher Dawkins, Doc the Hawk. Viva La Cheating is his new team name. Last year it was Hawk to a Moon, and he did finish in 3rd place, squeezed into the playoffs with a 7-7 record. The 6 seed did take home 3rd. Good for him. So he's nominating 8th. At number 9, we have the Pasture Interference. Not last year's champ, but the year before that, Nathaniel Frederick in here at number 9. Also has yet to log in. We still have 10.5 minutes. I'm sure everything will be in order. At number 10, we have Salisbury Suicide, a.k.a. Eduardo Corocchio, the bullfighter himself. If you've never seen Seinfeld, you're missing out on that peak reference. But he is logged in. Nice to see you, ready to go. And then at pick 11, we got Goat Mode, longtime member of the channel. Thank you for joining us, Goat Mode. Happy to see you. And then at pick 12, last year's runner-up, Jason Calhoun, in here in the chat. It is draft night, baby. Huron River Rat has been involved in a lot of these live streams in the past as well, whether it's the auction, Subscriber League, or just the underdog drafts. River Rat is often with us. Happy to see you in here, my friend. Excited. I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie. Oh boy, my nerves are a little jittery. I can't wait for tonight. But Jason Hopkins in here. Let's rock. Oh yeah. Let's fucking go. We do have just under 10 minutes. So I am a little bit early in terms of launching the stream, but wanted to make sure we got everything in order and I didn't have to stress. Last year, I remembered like I only gave myself 5 minutes for the intros, and then like as soon as I got to the last one, we were already nominating. So I wanted to give myself just a little bit of extra time, and hopefully we don't have too much dead air in the meantime. But I am gonna pop on my perhaps my what's the name of it, hype music, I guess. Every time I'm set up for one of these drafts and I want to feel a little more in the mood, I turn on Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Just that intro alone, one of the best guitar riffs of any song, honestly, you can find. I will be listening to that, probably on my headphones because I don't want to get flagged. But Jason saying, I've got time, pour myself a glass of bourbon to settle down. We're sticking with water. I don't want to deal with the cotton mouth. My my little pick-me-up is already here at the back of my ear. Well, I think I'm going to save that until I draft just a couple players. I would like to have my running back room kind of in order, just a little bit before we hit the joint. But I felt like the joint was a little more appropriate tonight as opposed to the pipe. It's a more special occasion. Let's do it right. Let's do it the right way. But I'm gonna get that music pumping in my headphones. And I guess now, if y'all have any questions, now's the time to let her rip. I will not be as focused once the nominations come in. But so far, we got Johnny Football logging in, and there's still another 7.5 minutes. So not gonna take it too hard at the moment. We're just getting ready. And I do have some good news, some positive news for the channel. I do have a partnership lined up with Underdog this season. So if you are new to Underdog, if you've never made an account, I would wait until September 1st. I'm going to have a promo code available to you that will be linked to the channel, to yours truly, and we will have some weekly player picks available to hopefully steal some money from Underdog. Hopefully we can fleece them on some big return payout bets. But looks like Terry coming in here with a question. Back up, Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry. Trade question, redraft, full PPR. Trade away Bijan and Waddle for Henry, AJ Brown, and Stevenson. So a 2 for 3. You get a downgrade at running back with Henry. You also get Ramondre. That's kind of meaningless. Waddle for AJ Brown. Obviously, you'd rather have AJ Brown. But is moving on from Bijan for Henry worth the upgrade at receiver? I think Stevenson is kind of irrelevant. You're also going to have to drop someone. So here's the full team. Baker, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Bijan, Bucky, Andrews, Kyron. Bench has Mason, Aaron Jones, Keenan, Nix, Waddle, Pittman, Ayuk, and Shaheed. I think I'd stay put, man. I think having Bijan in full PPR is so much more valuable than Derrick Henry. Henry's not going to catch more than like one pass a game. Meanwhile, Bijan could literally catch like 85 passes this season. So I think in full PPR, it's not as appealing of a trade. I'd also am expecting a lot of targets headed for Waddle this season. In PPR, I think he's a little more valuable than in half PPR. I think I'd stay put because while you are getting Ramondre Stevenson, you got to cut someone. You got to make room, and that means you're probably giving up on Shaheed. I'd much rather have Shaheed than Ramondre. Maybe you're giving up Keenan or Ayuk. That doesn't feel wise. I don't like it. I would stick with Bijan and Waddle, see how it goes, maybe make another trade later in the season if you feel desperate enough. But at the moment, I would stick with what you got. I'm not going to make any changes. I'm not one that loves to trade before the season. It's not my favorite thing to do. Goat mode, a little horrified, but you'll be okay, my friend. I'm sure you'll be just fine. Bobby J asking, Adam, do I trade my 101 draft pick for the 301? My only concern is being forced to go elite QB and elite tight end at the turn in a 2-flex league. Scratch that, the 103. I don't think I would do that, man. I don't know. Also, to grow your subscribers, you just basically started doing videos. No, we've been doing videos ever since the channel launched. Mainly in the off season, I only do live streams, at least mostly live streams, just because that's where most of the content is. We live stream on Underdog, and that's really the best place to get some practice in for these real drafts. But I think I wouldn't be terrified of drafting at the bookend, my friend. I don't think I'd be that worried about it. If you are really worried, then go ahead and move down to 103. But personally, I don't think I would do that. That's just not my vibe. I'd probably just stick with what the good Lord gave me. Pick 101. But Bromke saying CD is the pick here. I technically don't have. This is not a snake draft, my friend. This is not a snake draft. This is an auction league. You have access to everyone. So it's not about who you get. It's about what price you're getting them at. You have access to literally everyone in the NFL, but only 15 total roster spots. And you just try and get the best values possible. Just because I'm at 4 here does not necessarily mean I will be drafting with the 104. We can get whoever we want. Auction format is the wild, wild west, baby. A lot of shit goes wild. But Jonathan, Ayuk is the pick here. Clearly, Ayuk is the man. We're obviously going to overspend on Ayuk. Everyone has to do that. Maybe not everyone, just me. But we are inside 3 minutes. Very close. And I'll drop the reminder in our group chat. Two-minute warning, baby. But everyone's chimed in at least once except for Sun God Squad. I expect him to be in. I mean, he paid. If you want to auto-draft a auction league, be my guest. You'll wind up with some weird picks. But drop the 2-minute warning in the group chat. Oh, I'm ready to go. I'm so excited. Jetta's not sure if Kyle Pitts will fall to me. Probably not. He's probably going to be going for like $40. Shamrock, which subscribers did I choose to be in the league? We only have one new participant, and that was a first-come, first-served basis this year, and that would be Jared Stanishek, nominating second, Pirate Ghost. Otherwise, everybody else has been in here in the subscriber league since it started. Maybe not exactly since it started. We first started with only 10 teams. There have been maybe like 5 or 6 people that have actually dropped out over the years and replaced. But just about everyone except Jared is returning from last season. Clearly, Rashi Rice also in line for this pick. Bobby asking what's the buy-in for this league. Everyone except myself drops $50 as a buy-in. My buy-in is $100. I sweeten the pot just a little bit, and I'm the reigning champion, so maybe I should possibly have a little extra on the line. So my buy-in is $100, everybody else is $50. And first prize takes home $420. Second gets $180, and then third gets their money back at $50. But 45 seconds, we are really close. I did not listen to Money for Nothing, but honestly, it's been like on repeat in my mind. Oh boy. Very exciting. Very exciting. Jamie, no worries, man. Enjoy your podcast. Maybe we'll see you next time. Quincy, $100 on Jaden Higgins. Most likely. It is game time, Jonathan. Ready to go. Fromke, is that a Rolo behind your ear? Yes, it is, my friend. Yes, it is. I like it. Jamar Chase, nominated first. Fair. That's fair. Jettas, this is clearly the main league I care about the most, and for that reason, we will not be focusing too much on the chat very much. But Sun God Squad with the auto pick up to $66. And that feels a little heavy. That feels a little heavy. So, not the ideal scenario to have someone on auto right now, but you make your bed and you lie in it. That's your situation. Okay. I'll drop one bid on Chase Brown. Currently at 31. Yes, we do have a double Chase nomination. Bongzilla in at 36. Pirate Ghost in at 37. Bongzilla immediately counters with 38. Up to 39. I'm in at 40. And Sun God Squad does chime in. We do have everyone now. Chase Brown goes for 42. May regret that. That actually feels like a very good price on Chase Brown. All right. We are in it. Jamar Chase for 66, Chase Brown for 42. Ashton Genty nominated. Let's bump it up to 25. I'm in at 25 on Genty. Up to 31, up to 32. Up to 37. I'll go 40. Salisbury in at 41. I'll go 42. In at 43. So officially Genty more valuable than Chase Brown. Ooh. A lot of people in, now up to 46. That happened fast. Ooh. Ramley not willing to give him up. Salisbury Suicide just wants Genty at up to 48. That still might not be high enough, but compared to Chase Brown at 42, maybe Chase Brown was a fucking steal. But they are somewhat similar, somewhat different. I get the hype on Genty. And the nominee for Genty does get him. Anyways, let's throw a haymaker here. Let's do it. Rashi Rice for $1. Let's see where Rashi goes in an auction format. Who wants him? I mean, for $1, I would have taken him. For $1, I would have been comfortable with Rashi, but Saskuro not too happy. Writes boo in the comments. You gotta have some fun. Let's see what the fuck happens. Pre-draft value 16, and I'll be honest, he's off my board. I'm gonna let somebody else have Rashi, but I'm very curious what price he has. Up to 11. The suspension just dropped today. At least we know exactly how much time he's gonna miss. But still a scary proposition. Up to 13. Rashi Rice sold for $13. All right. Goes to We Did It Joe. I knew Angus would probably wind up with Rashi. That's his boy. Rashi is one of his favorite acquisitions. But Jefferson now nominated. And in case you're wondering what the scoring format in this league, it's half PPR, but then we also have bonuses for big games, like 100 yards receiving, 100 yards rushing is an extra 3 points. If you hit 200 yards, it's a total of 5 points. A 40-plus yard touchdown gives you an extra point bonus as well. And then for passing, 300 and 400, also that 3 to 5 point bonus I mentioned applies there too. And then otherwise, there's mainly like a lot of differences at like defense. Like if your quarterback gets sacked, that's minus half a point. If your defense forces a fumble but doesn't recover a fumble, that's a point as well. There are a few minor extra details, but in general, it's not too much different than just straight up half PPR. But at the moment, Jefferson's up to 55. Remember, Jamar Chase went for 66. And Jefferson does go for 55. I did not bid on Jefferson. I think I'm going to avoid J.J. McCarthy a little bit. But Bijan nominated. Initial offer 21. I'll get in at 22. We know this is going to go up. Now up to 35, 36. I'm in at 45. Immediately goes up to 46. Now we're officially above 50. I'll get in at 53. I'll go at 57. The interference wants Bijan up to 58. I'm in at 59. And I have Bijan at 59. Let's go. All right. Compared to Jamar Chase at 66, I'll take that. $4 more than Jefferson. I can tolerate it. We have the RB1, at least in pre-draft ADP. And with that, now that I have my first running back, I will officially light this motherfucker. We're in it now, boys. Currently, Brian Thomas is on the board. Up to 43. Up to 46 now. Now 47, 48. Maybe if I didn't just spend 59 on Bijan. Might consider it. Last year, Brian Thomas, I drafted for $4. But gotta be wise with the budget. And I'm probably out on multiple 50-plus point players. But Brian Thomas does officially go for $50. Not bad. He goes to We Did It Joe. So Angus currently rolling with Rashi Rice for $13 and Brian Thomas Jr. for 50. Quincy saying Bijan at 59 is crazy. Is it still too cheap or is it crazy expensive? Which crazy are you talking? I get it. Maybe it's a little pricey, but I think we'll be okay. Someone with a top 2 ADP, I'm willing to overspend just a little bit. Feel like Bijan is kind of bust proof. But Hampton currently up to 21. I mean, you know I'm a Charger fan. To pretend like I'm not going to ever bid on Hampton is insane. So at least let's price enforce. I don't know where I'll stop, but 24 I'm willing to go with. Now up to 26. Pre-draft value was 26. Now he's up to 28. God damn. Y'all have to nominate a Charger early just to fuck with me. I'll bump it up to 31. Oh, shit. Damn. Viva la cheating. Not going to let me have him. That was fucking close. Shit. I'm in at 33. God damn it. Fuck. We're going to have to pay 35. Shit. Do I let him go at 35? No. Viva la cheating. Keeps bumping it up. Okay. I'm in at 37. Y'all are calling my bluff. There it is. I got Bijan and Hampton with $104 left. At least I got my two running backs. I need two running backs I can trust. That's my philosophy in an auction format. And basically, taking Bijan, I'm kind of operating as if maybe I'm drafting at like pick 2 in a regular, like underdog snake draft. And Hampton is a type of guy we would be acquiring in the 3rd round. Maybe I overspent though to already be down $96 with Bijan and Hampton. Perhaps a little expensive, but I'll just be straight up with those two caliber players. I'm definitely not in the market for a $30 tight end, and pre-draft value on Bowers is 42, so he almost goes for 30. The timer almost expires, but now Bowers is in at $32, still 10 below pre-draft value. But how much do you trust ESPN's pricing? I'm not sure. We just see Bowers go at 32 compared to Hampton at 37. That may be a steal. That may be a very, very good price on Bowers. But can't say for sure just yet. We're going to find out later on when we have something to compare. But for the moment, let's take a look at the board real quick and get a little idea of what teams are looking like so far. Maybe, we'll do the roster view so we know which positions every team has. Right now, there are still 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams without a player. Half the league has yet to draft anyone yet, but we're only at nomination number 10. That's not that weird. But so far, Angus McKay, team We Did It Joe, has the most players. He has Brian Thomas, Rashee Rice, and Brock Bowers. But McCaffrey almost goes for 46. The timer did beep at 45, but currently Bongzilla in the lead at 47. And the pasture interference not going to let him go just yet. CMC up to 49 now up to 50. And given I paid 59 for Bijan, I would hope at least Christian McCaffrey goes for a minimum of $50. That was kind of my gauge on what we're going to end up having to deal with at this position. But nope, the bidding war continues. Interference in at 52. Not afraid of last year's injury. And Bongzilla not afraid either, up to 53. Love to see it. Going once, going twice. Sold to Go Bongzilla. CeeDee Lamb nominated. Angus drops a comment in the chat that we are all out of our mind for letting Bowers go for under 40. If I didn't have only $104 in my budget, maybe I would have bid, but sometimes people don't like to pay that price. at tight end. Sometimes it's a little hard to swallow. But currently, for just $1 more, Angus has Rashi Rice, Brian Thomas, and Bowers. I got Bijan Hampton for. Actually, no, I've spent one more dollar than Angus so far. But CeeDee Lamb moving up for 47. Now up to 48. Hopefully this doesn't take too long, but generally this is what happens. Like once we get into like the range that they're actually going to go, the timer does slow down. But we did it, Joe. Ready to commit. Already with Rashi and Brian Thomas still in on Lamb at 54. Now, another aspect of like the strategy in this setting factors in when you're in a bidding war with someone that has a much lesser budget than you, because there's still a lot of options left available. And to put someone in a kind of hole in terms of budget sometimes does help the rest of the lobby. But CeeDee Lamb does go for 56 to Jared Stanishek. Pirate Ghost takes him. And now for a combined $98 has Chase Brown for 42 and CeeDee Lamb for 56. Got his wide receiver 1 and running back 1. Pirate Ghost has 2 picks already. And this is the last pick of the first round. So some of us are a little bit more gun shy than others, but you really don't know how wise of a strategy that is until we're like midway through the draft. Until we're at a point where there's like a massive tier break in terms of max budgets available. Sometimes you are really happy that you waited to spend your money. Sometimes you're kind of pissed that you didn't overspend on some guys you wanted earlier. Sometimes it does bite you in the ass. But current pre-draft value on James Cook is 29, and he almost goes off for 28. We were down to 1 second on the clock. However, currently Sun God Squad is in with James Cook at 29. The interference back in. The thing about the interference, he's been in a lot of these bidding wars. He's been price enforcing, but has yet to acquire the player. Now it happens. The interference with their first pick, James Cook, at a price of $30. Not bad. Not bad at all. Personally, I got Cook and Hampton in the same tier. I just spent $7 extra on Hampton. I don't know if the tier is $7 wide. That is a very good price on James Cook. But a few weeks ago, before he signed that contract, there was some hesitation. Saquon currently up to $60. That makes me feel really good about my Bijan price. For anyone to spend more on a running back than I spent on Bijan, I'm pretty happy with that. But Eduardo Corocho does take Saquon for 60. Seems like once that 6 came up on the board, nobody else wanted to touch it. But Egbuka nominated. Oh, fuck. This will be interesting. Up to 12. Pre-draft value 6. I'm in at 22. Angus bids at 23. I'm back in at 24. And oh no, that's Chris. Doc the Hawk, Viva La Cheating at 25. I just bumped him up to 26. And Viva La Cheating up to 27. Currently, Pirate Ghost comments, whoa. And Egbuka is now mine at 28. We spent 37 on Hampton, 28 on Egbuka, and 59 on Bijan. I knew I wasn't going to get Egbuka for cheap. So let's just be honest. Knew that wasn't going to happen, but I'm happy to have him. I don't give a shit. Goat mode, crying that Egbuka goes for 28. I want my guys. What can I say? What can I say? But Derrick Henry currently up to pre-draft value, originally 42, now up to 44. And I think he might be a little better in this format specifically because of the bonus points that we have. If you have a player that does all of his damage on one side of the ball, like not passing at all, like I guess not passing, but in the receiving game, then you're more likely to hit the bonus on one side because you don't get a 100-yard scrimmage bonus. You get a 100-yard rushing bonus and a 100-yard receiving bonus. It's different, but definitely valuable. Almost goes for 49, but Viva La Cheating back in at 50. And Christopher Dawkins still yet to draft a player, finally on the board with Derrick Henry. And now that I'm up, I'm going to nominate the highest price player of them all. It helps that it's a running back with Jahmyr Gibbs here. But given I have the lowest budget at the moment, we need other people to come back down to my level. We need some lower max budgets when we have the smallest. And we are in round 2. It's about time that someone like Gibbs gets nominated. We just saw Barkley go for 60. So this will be an interesting comparison. Where does Gibbs go? Currently at 54. River Rat in at 55. Almost flew off the board. River Rat in at 57. And is Angus going to get into this bidding war? No. Dawkins gets into the bidding war. Now Gibbs up to 60. So same price as Saquon. And I think once you hear 6 instead of 5, a lot of people get scared. We do see Gibbs go off the board at $60. Feels appropriate. So let's remind you of the board in terms of which teams have who. And my roster is on the left. Let's pull up somebody else's roster. Let's take a look at Angus's roster real quick. Still no running backs, no QB, but 2 receivers, Rashi and Brian Thomas, and Bowers at tight end. But right now, Taylor's on the board at $37. Pre-draft 46. And let's pull up some comparisons so far. At running back, we've seen Henry go 50, James Cook go 30, Saquon 60, Gibbs 60. I took Hampton at 37. And we've also seen Chase Brown at 42, Ashton Genty 49, and Taylor does go for 41 to Johnny Football. Johnny Football now on the board at running back with Taylor. So let us know in the chat. Would you rather have Genty for 49, Chase Brown for 42, or Taylor for 41? I guess probably the better comp would be Chase Brown at 42 and Taylor at 41. But all three in this discussion, that's an interesting valuation there at running back with those three. But right now, Puka's on the board, up to 37, pre-draft value in the 60s. But other than CD Lamb, also Brian Thomas did go $50. Puka up to 47. Puka now up to 51. And right now, Chris Dawkins is in the lead, but I got Ramley. Last year, his team name was Nakua Matata. If he to let him go without a fight would be a shocker. And he does get his boy, Puka Nakua, on the roster of Matt Barrero for 52. 52. So CD Lamb at 56, Brian Thomas at 50. That's right in the middle, so feels appropriate by comparison. We did see Jefferson off at 55 in this lobby. So not a concern with the Stafford injury. And as long as Stafford's fine, Puka should crush. But right now, Allen is being nominated, currently quickly ticking up, now up to 2021, 22. Still flying. The timer is yet to dip below 8 on Josh Allen. Officially, it's hit 5 seconds. We're up at 27. Pre-draft value 35, and GOAT mode is in. But Viva La Cheating wants his boy. Last year, Viva La Cheating had both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He went double elite QB and did make the playoffs, did take home third place. So it did not cost him, even though spending a lot of your budget on quarterback does scare some people. Sometimes it's not really what some people want to do. But last year, it was able to work for at least third place. But pre-draft value was 35, and right now Allen is at 35. And he goes to Chris Dawkins at 35. So our first official quarterback selection, we do have Josh Allen at 35 and then Bowers at 32. So it looks like for the elite onesie position, once we hit above 30, that's when they seem to go. But Shamrock is asking what was Bijan's pre-draft value. I believe it was 65. 68. Pre-draft value 68. According to a 12-team ESPN auction ADP. But Amon-Ra, I imagine Sun God Squad is going to be in a bidding war here. That'd be my guess. Given Sun God Squad is an homage to Amon-Ra St. Brown. One of the most consistent players in fantasy the last 2 years. Will the loss of Ben Johnson alter that? Amon-Ra off the board for 46. Compared to what we just saw Puka go at 52, that feels pretty good. $6, somewhat fair discount. But so far, there haven't been like a shit ton of really high-end receivers off the board. We're kind of just getting into that part of the draft now. So until, the top 12 or so receivers are off the board, I don't know if you can fully judge what that price looks like at the end of the day in terms of value. But Amon-Ra for 46 on paper sounds like a decent investment. Brian Thomas did go for 50. But A-Chain currently moving up the board steadily up to 23. And I'll be totally upfront right now, given my budget and my running back situation with Bijan and Hampton, I'm not drafting A-Chain. I'm not even going to bid on A-Chain. So this is between the subscribers and everybody that wants him. Elite upside when 2 is available. You could be getting the RB3, maybe even the RB1 if everything goes right for A-Chain this year. But to pretend like there aren't some red flags in Miami, I think would be a little naive. So I'm playing it conservative right now, but A-Chain up to 42, and Angus looking to get his first running back is currently at the top of ADP. A-Chain almost goes with only 1 second on the timer. It does change hands, and Dawkins, who has Allen, Derrick Henry in on A-Chain at 43 and has him 43 for Devon A-Chain. We saw Chase Brown at 42. We saw Taylor at 41. And we saw Genty at 49. I took Hampton at 37. Saskuro believes this was a steal. And as long as he stays healthy, as long as Tua stays healthy, I think you are correct. But that may be a big if. Just my personal take on the situation. But I acknowledge I could be way too low on A-Chain this year. Metcalf kind of dipped pretty low in the timer for like $7 there. So maybe people just don't want Metcalf, given it's the Steelers right now. But at $13, that is kind of tempting. Almost goes for $13. I got to be honest with you, I'm very tempted to click, even at 16. But right now, back in hands for the interference at 15. Pre-draft value 17. And he does go for 15. So that maybe makes my Egbuka pick pretty disgusting. Telling me I can get Metcalf for $15. But fuck it. I'm willing to live with that. Holy shit. London up to 40. Johnny Football up to 42. And changes hands twice. Angus in at 44. Angus going a little heavier receiver so far up in the draft with Brian Thomas and Rashee Rice, but does get outbid by Johnny Football at 45. And London goes for 45. I think that's a very nice price. Amon-Ra 46, very fair by comparison. Definitely 2 top 10 receivers this season. So that's the threshold so far for Elite Wideout, 45 on London. I would have been comfortable with that, but my budget probably doesn't allow for me to be spending that much. Most likely. But Njoku up to $6. Interesting nomination here. Very early in the draft. Pre-draft value is $4, and Njoku goes to Nathaniel Frederick, pasture interference. Nico nominated. And I'll bump this up to 25. Let's not play games. You know, he's more expensive than that. Up to 37 now. And he is moving quickly. That's one of the things about the auction format. You need to be the highest bidder at some point. And unless you click the button, that's not going to be the case. But, oh, damn. There was a slight hesitation there for a second. Y'all paused briefly when I had Nico at 49, but he's flying up in the 50s now. He's up to 55. I'll let him go. He was a big part of my winning roster last season. I drafted Nico for 33 last year, and that was a very, very wise decision. But 58 currently. Now 59. Damn. A lot of love for Nico right now. Up to 60 officially. Wow. I mean, I'll take Bijan for 59 if Nico goes for 60. I'm comfortable with that. But one aspect of the strategy is once we get to a tier break at any position, whether it be quarterback, tight end, running back, or as we just saw, wide receiver, there are not that many top 10 receivers left. So if that's a position you really want, if that's part of your strategy this year, you need that elite option at wideout, there's not that many left. That's one reason why I do think Nico just went for 60 bucks. But Tyreek Hill down to 7 seconds, only going for $3 right now. That's kind of crazy. But quickly up to 19. We were almost caught sleeping there by Pirate Ghost. That would have been insane if he went for $2. But pre-draft value 38, and now he's up to 22. But GOAT mode had it at 24, now back in at 26. It's changing hands between Salisbury and GOAT mode, and we're one bid left to hitting 30 bucks. Now he's officially at the $30 threshold, and Angus comes in at 31. Not afraid. GOAT mode in at 32. And at least I can rest easy knowing that Tyreek Hill at least was more expensive than Igbuka. I might still regret my Igbuka investment at 28, but at least Tyreek is going at 32, $4 more expensive than Igbuka. At least there's that. But Lad McConkey, Ladidi McConkey, nominated starting off for $10. And now he's up to 17. Pre-draft was 36 on Ladidi. So you'd expect he at least goes for as much as Tyreek Hill did. Now up to 31, so officially tied with Tyreek Hill for price. And so far, Riverat has him at 32, but the timer clicks once and it changes hands twice. Currently, Sun God Squad in the lead at 34. But I got Ramley, nominated him, is back in the driver's seat, and at 35, about to hit pre-draft value. Currently tied with pre-draft value for Sun God Squad at 36. Up to 37, and my gut tells me this is where he goes. Yeah, 37. I feel like there's a bit of a tier break incoming at running back, so given that's one of my strengths, I'm going to try and press some of these budgets down. I'm going to nominate Josh Jacobs, another high-end running back. And then let's get back to the board now that I've nominated my player. Currently, there's 3 teams without a running back. Sun God Squad, We Did It Joe, and GOAT Mode have yet to take their RB1 as of yet. But Jacob's up to 32 now. And it does feel fitting that pasture interference with the biggest budget is going to be leading some of these bidding wars coming up. He has James Cook at $30 so far on the roster. Also has Metcalf at 15 and Njoku at 6. Now Jacob's up to 38. And given I took Hampton at 37, I'm at least happy that Jacobs is going more expensive than Hampton. But now up to 41, it's the same price that Jonathan Taylor went at earlier in this draft. and he does go for 41. To We Did It Joe. Angus gets his RB1, Josh Jacobs. So that's kind of what I was expecting. One of the teams that didn't have a running back so far to take him, but We Did It Joe down to $64 in terms of budget. He's not the lowest budget so far. I got Ramley currently at $62. I'm at 76, and then Viva La Cheating at 72. Most teams, however, are still well above $100. We still have highest budget, The Interference at 149, Sun God Squad at 134, and then Johnny Football at 114, Goat Mode at 113. Also, River Rat in at 140. River Rat actually has the second biggest budget in the draft. He has Gibbs so far on the roster at $60. And right now, Neighbors is the nominee, going at 46 currently. Right now, up to 47. The Interference in at 48. And officially up to 50. Changes hands twice. River Rat and The Interference in a bidding war. But River Rat not done yet. Back in at 51. But I think The Interference really wants him. That's the vibe I'm getting. Every single time it changes over to River Rat, Interference is in immediately. And he goes for 54 to the Pastor Interference. That team has Neighbors, Metcalf for a combined $69. Nice. And then James Cook for 30, and Njoku for 6. Budget down to 95. And now Bucky Irving nominated. This will be interesting. Because if we look at running back, I'll pull this up just for everyone watching. There's a bit of a cliff beyond Bucky Irving. I think we are in a bit of a tier break, especially once Kyron comes off the board. It's not looking the same. So this may be last call on one of the truly elite upside running backs. But who knows? Maybe we're still having a few more options. But that's all I'll say on the matter. Bucky up to 32. Carocchio did draft Saquon for 60. And I'm currently at the top, in at 38. Almost got him. Annabelle has yet to draft a running back, in at 39. I might regret this, but I'm in at 40. And now I'm out. We Did It Joe in at 41. And his budget would be down to 23 if he gets him. And he does. Not gonna lie, I was sweating getting stuck with Bucky there at 40. I was a bit worried about it. And Angus, that's why you jumped in on Jacobs. You also jump in on Bucky. You're down to 23. We'll see how it works out for you, but you do have 5 players in your starting roster. One of them is Rashee Rice. Excellent. But running back core of Jacobs and Bucky, both at 41, feels like a very, very fair value. But you also have Brian Thomas at 50, Bowers for 32, and then Rashee at 13. But now Lamar Jackson is up to $33. And we did see Allen go to Dawkins for 35. So price perfectly in line with Allen. This is definitely the high end of the quarterback market. And right now it looks like Sun God Squad almost gets him down to 2 seconds on the timer. But I got Ramley. Matt Barrero is in at 35. Sun God Squad back in at 36. And given his budget is much higher, I would imagine Ethan is a bit more willing to click that button than Barrero is. But Barrero's in at 37 and gets him. So I got Ramley. Matt Barrero currently has Lamar at $37, Genti at $49, Puka at $52, and Lad McConkey at $37. Not a bad start. The budget is down to $25. And we are in round 4, I believe. I think this is the 4th round. Oh no, we're at the almost at the tail end of the 3rd round. AJ Brown up for 38. What is wide receiver looking like? There's a bit of a tier break, not going to lie. Ladd went for 37. London went for 45. And AJ Brown almost goes for 40, but now up to 41, now 42. To Chris Dawkins. Dawkins not afraid of a low budget down to $30, but has Allen, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane, and A.J. Brown has his wide receiver 1 stud. Not looking too bad. Claims this is a steal. I mean, by comparison to Amon-Ra, I have them in the same tier. You did get a discount there. Did get a discount. Armin in the chat believes a Tyler Warren nomination would be interesting. Anything that you go off the page with in terms of nominations, anything that's not like the top of ADP, always kind of throws things off. But right now, pre-draft value on Harrison is $18 up to $11, and now up to $13. I'll be honest, I think I'm going to pass. But now up to 17, he is rising up to pre-draft value, which was originally $18. Now up to 20. Changes hands very quickly. Johnny Football, a believer in Marv, gets his guy for $20. Budget down to $94, with Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the roster. Terry nominated. Up to $8. I'm in at 17, but Salisbury counters at 20. And it seems like every time it changes hands, Salisbury's back in pretty quickly. Terry goes for 22. So officially my Egbuka price is insanely overpriced. I got Egbuka at 28. Terry goes for 22. Damn. But Marvin Harrison goes for 20. I view Harrison much differently, so I didn't want to gauge it on that. But yeah, may have fucked up with Egbuka. But I believe in Tampa. I believe in the Bucs receiving core. Changing hands this season. I was willing to go into the 30s on Egbuka. But T. Higgins almost went off for 24. Now up to 28. At least someone's spending 30, but I almost got in for 30. Two teams with the highest budgets are currently in this bidding war for T. Higgins at 31. And he does go to Sun God Squad for 31. Higgins, last year was fun. Helped me win that championship with the 3-touchdown game in overtime against the Broncos. But it's not in the cards. He's not on my team this year. Good luck. It's fun to have T. Higgins. But DJ Moore up to $8. Currently GOAT mode, Bears fan in the lead. And down to 3 seconds. Oh, almost goes for $8. Damn. That would have been interesting. GOAT mode back in the lead at 10. And GOAT mode's team has Jefferson and Tyreek Hill so far with a budget of 113. The second highest budget in the league is GOAT mode at the moment. Sticking with the commitment to DJ Moore, it's changed hands a few times, but GOAT mode stays at the top. Almost gets, I thought he was going to get him there at 12, but no. Interference in at 13. And takes him for 13. I'll show you the board once again. Jaden Daniels now nominated, so the QB3, at least in consensus ADP. Pre-draft value in the 30s. We've seen Lamar go for 37, Allen go for 35 already. Up to 22. Up to 25. Up to 26. Sun God Squad wants him just as much as River Rat. New price 27. And compared to Allen and Lamar above 35, that feels not bad. But then when we get later in the quarterback market, when some guys go for like $4 and $3, perhaps we feel differently. But at least compared to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I don't see a massive difference personally. $8, not a bad discount there for an elite level quarterback. So right now the bidding war is between GOAT mode and Pirate Ghost on Jalen Hurts. And GOAT mode has Jalen Hurts in his thumbnail, in his like player avatar profile photo. He does have Jalen Hurts there. But Pirate Ghost in at 17. I was in at 16. And now River Rat is in at 18. So a four-handed race. There's 4 teams that are interested so far. And now I'm currently holding the lead at 20, but it goes to Pirate Ghost at 21. We just saw Jaden Daniels go 27. I will pass. I regret overspending on Igbuka. But now Evans nominated. This will be an interesting comparison. Where does Evans go by comparison? But Evans currently up to 16. Do I want a full commitment in Tampa? I'm not afraid of it. Gogo Bongzilla in for 20. Has Nico at 60. And now Salisbury up to 21. If I didn't have Igbuka, I'd probably be bidding right now. But pre-draft value was 21. And now he's up to 22. And he goes for 22. Now it's my turn to nominate. Let's take a look at the player pool. Maybe we go a little bit random. Let's see what happens with Travis Hunter. I'm very curious what happens on Travis Hunter, and I kind of don't want to see it happen at a discount when like everyone's budget is much lower. So let's nominate Travis Hunter. This will be interesting. Up to 6. The interference in at 8. I'm going to go 9. And then at 10, where do we go from here? I'll give you Travis Hunter at 10. But I might regret that. Not as much as Igbuka. I'll leave that alone. You have heard me say that too many times. Kyron currently on the nomination. Up to 28. Pre-draft was 30. And in terms of running backs, we haven't seen running back get taken in a while. Like the last big name running back that was taken was Bucky Irving at 41. And now Kyron's up to 33. Currently, GOAT mode does not have an RB1 and was about to get him for 36, but now Sun God Squad, the other team without a running back one, did take him at 37, but now GOAT mode back in the lead. GOAT mode has him at 38. GOAT mode has his running back one officially. So running back, there's still Kamara at the top of ADP for 25 in terms of pre-draft value. He gets nominated as I speak. Burrow at the QB position, highest ranked at $25. Wide receiver, Adams highest ranked at 36. Tight end, McBride highest ranked at 41. And then defense and kicker is a different situation. Excuse me. But back to the board, just to remind y'all of who has who so far. Bryce is asking, is there trades during the season? Yes, but in terms of draft picks and like budgets, no. Kamara almost goes for 27. We just saw Kyron for 38. All right, McBride nominated. I was wondering when McBride would enter the market, given I believe he was the highest ranked in terms of pre-draft ADP. And we did see Bowers go for 32. So are we going to see a very high-priced ticket on McBride? You'd hope so. Otherwise, Bowers may look foolish at 32. This will be a big gauge on what was wise with Bowers. But steadily rising between Pirate Ghost and Goat Mode up to 17 now. Make that 18. And I clicked simultaneously. I was in at 20, but now we're already up to 23, and it was just kind of just waiting for it to happen. Yeah, the pre-draft at 41 feels like we should probably do something about this. But Sun God Squad ups the ante up to 35. River Rat with the highest budget tops it at 36. That probably scares away some folks. Yeah, 36 for McBride. Bowers for 32. McBride for 36. That's interesting. That looks like a steal on Bowers now. I mean, it's not a massive difference between the two, but I definitely would rather have Bowers than McBride. Maybe the Amari Cooper edition in Las Vegas is the only red flag there, but not enough to scare me away. I'd happily take a $4 discount on Bowers compared to McBride. So good for Angus, who has been sitting quietly for a while. In round 2, the budget was down to 23 bucks. And maybe laughing to himself internally, seeing what just happened on McBride. But, ooh, Montgomery almost goes for 13. That would have been interesting. Let's take a look at the players. So now, top of ADP would be Adams. And now Travion enters the chat. Let's see what the price is on Travion today. Pre-draft 22. We're officially down below 10 seconds. Every bid does refresh the clock back to 10 seconds. And now Travion's up to 15. I got him for 16? Oh, shit. Travion for 16? Yo! That deserves a fucking hit. Holy shit. Y'all fucked up. Y'all fucked up here. Oh, shit. Yo. That's a steal. What the fuck? I mean, I would expect Kyle Pitts to go for 16, but damn. Kenneth Walker's now up to 25. Whew. We now have Walker going for 27 to Salisbury Suicide. Whew. I am ecstatic right now. And yeah, I see your comment, Jason. I do want Ramondre's backup. Holy shit. The fuck happened there? Did y'all take a shit? All right. Gotta reacclimate my mind here. Whew. Worthy just goes for 12. That feels like a steal. Holy shit. I wish I got Worthy for 12. Damn. But maybe some people thought that the suspension would be longer on Rashi. But 12 for Xavier Worthy. I feel like some of the high price bids early on are coming back to haunt some people. The max budget right now is lower than you might think. There are some teams with less than like $20 left to bid in terms of a max price. And nobody has more than $100 right now. Currently, the highest budget is 94 for Johnny Football. But right now, Kittle going for 14. And I currently have the high bid, but Sun God Squad gets back in at 15. Damn, 17? Shit. I'll go 18. Sun God Squad has Daniels, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins so far. I'm in at 20. And he's mine for 20. Personally, I got Kittle in the same tier as Bowers. No, as McBride. As McBride. I have him back to back with McBride. I actually have Kittle above McBride. So a little more volatile, but to get him for 20, Bowers goes 32, McBride 36. I'm living. I'm willing to live with that situation given I got, I think, a big price discount on Henderson, at least in terms of my pre-draft valuation. So I'm willing to spend a little luxury elsewhere. But so far, my starting roster is starting to get filled out. I got Bijan and Hampton. I also have Travion Henderson at my flex. My tight end's Kittle. And so far, my wide receiver one is Igbuka. We got $40 left on the budget. But currently, Adams is going for 13. Not anymore. I was in at 14. Now I'm in at 17. I was trying to get in at 16. And Adams is on the roster. Okay, I got my two receivers now. Igbuka and Adams. The budget's now down to 23. I'm tied at the bottom in terms of budget with We Did It Joe for 23, and I got Ramley, who is 25. I don't have a quarterback yet. My bench is not filled in yet. But I do have 3 running backs, 2 receivers, and a top 3 tight end. That was kind of wild. We go with Kittle and Adams back to back. Given I spent 20 on Igbuka, that's kind of like my framing. And so to get a player I want, I'm willing to live with the outcomes with Adams this year. I'll take my chances. But we got someone trying to say hi as Garrett Wilson is currently up for nomination. Let's pan out. Let's show you who's here with us. Wow, she actually looked at the camera there. Doesn't always do that. You want some food? Okay. Let's get back to this. We did just see Garrett Wilson go to GOAT mode for 20. And I'm the next nomination, actually. So I don't want to miss that. Right now, Swift going for 3. Holy shit. I'll feed the cat. Swift up to 11. Almost timed out at 10. Looks like Shamrock loving the roster. Armin likes it as well, but Swift goes for 13. Let's bring down some budgets here. Let's nominate Joe Burrow. I mean, if y'all want to give him to me for $1, I'll take him. I'll be happy to have Burrow. Oh, he's already on a different somebody. I got outbid. Bummer. But this will be an interesting point of reference because Hurts did trickle down to $21. Jaden Daniels at 27. We saw Lamar at 37, and then Josh Allen for 35. What are we going to see here? Right now, Burrow's going for 10. And what's interesting is Ethan's team, I think, would really benefit from Burrow. I mean, you don't have to stack. Definitely don't have to. But if this was a best ball team, you'd rather have Burrow correlated than Daniels. But would be kind of interesting to see him grab both. So far, he's not been bidding, so that's not his strategy. He has Daniels. Not going to force the stack. But Riverette does get Joe Burrow for 15. Compared to Hurts at 21, that feels somewhat appropriate. Not bad. And in terms of quarterbacks, we're definitely hitting the tier break in terms of like high-priced guys. Mahomes is the next one at 10. And then once we get down to Bo Nix, everyone's below $5, at least in pre-draft value. So there's different strategies at QB. You can get it done in many different ways. Let's get to the board. So far, no one's dipped into their bench yet, but that's pretty... Oh, no, actually, I'm mistaken. The pasture interference has 2 bench players with Travis Hunter and DeAndre Swift. So the full roster for the interference has James Cook, David Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift at running back. That's pretty good. Wide receiver has Neighbors, Travis Hunter, DK Metcalf, and DJ Moore. Tight end David Njoku. Shamrock, yes, there are defenses and kickers. And if you start a defense that pitches a shutout, you do get rewarded. If your defense gives up very few points and very few yards, they do get extra points. Like you can score as much as like 14 points at the start of every matchup with defenses. Like there's some big rewards and big punishments at defense. Defense has a lot of variance. Defense is actually very underrated in this league. Because that's a position you can stream, and sometimes making the right call there is a huge, huge bonus. Or we've seen some big penalties as well. Like last year, there were like, I want to say 3 -7s at defense as well. There were some defenses that were really, really fucked. Yeah, if you give up a lot of points at defense, you start the wrong one, you're probably losing that week. You can always come back from it if you are just that much better everywhere else, but defense has a lot of interesting rules there. It starts off high, but it goes in the negative pretty quickly. All right, Chuba Hubbard is currently being nominated, and Chuba is the highest ranked running back so far. All right, so how many rounds have we gone? We're currently in the 5th round. It does take a while. We've been live for an hour and a half, but the draft started at 7:15. Once we start getting into like under $10 for most players, shit's going to go much faster. Sascuro regrets AJ. Let's take a look at Sascuro's team. He has AJ Brown for 42, A-Chain at 43, Derrick Henry at 50, and Josh Allen at 35. There have been some much lower prices on receiver than I expected. Like, if you regret AJ Brown, maybe it's not as bad as my Egbuka regret. I may have spent $20 too much on Egbuka. Like, sometimes people view Egbuka and like Travis Hunter the same, and Travis Hunter went for $10. It's not a guarantee that Egbuka is better than Travis Hunter this year. As much as I like my roster, I also may have buried myself with the Egbuka pick. But Mahomes up to $8. We did just see Burrow for 15. But Burrow's like pre-draft value was like 25. Meanwhile, Mahomes was 10. So now he's up to 9. If someone wants him, they got to get him for 10. I'm not going to be drafting Mahomes. Fuck that. Let me lean into my Chiefs hatering. I do not want to be brooding for Mahomes this year on my fantasy team. The only time I've ever had Mahomes was actually his pseudo rookie season. The year when he replaced Alex Smith. I did draft him in the first auction league I ever did, actually. And I remember getting him for like maybe $3. And boy, was he a valuable pick. I think I won the league that year. I was at least in the playoffs. I think I had the Mahomes and Kareem Hunt stack. And I think that was the year that Kareem Hunt. Oh no, I think that was the year after. Either way, that's the only time I've ever had Mahomes voluntarily. Before we knew what we were getting. And it's not like I haven't wanted Mahomes on my team. It's just he's usually way too expensive. This is kind of the first time you're getting him for less than $10. So maybe the Mahomes team got a massive discount. He has been less valuable the last 2 years, and now the price actually reflects it. But this will be interesting. Scattaboo nominated. Pre-draft value $2. So Pirate Ghost does bid. Beyond this point, not totally sure what will happen. Kind of a random nomination, but the interference must want him up to $4. Scattaboo goes for $4 to the pasture interference. Running back is kind of drying up. There's still Breece Hall left the board. There's RJ Harvey, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Pacheco, Bill Krosky Merritt as well. That'll be interesting. What's going to be the price on Bill? That would have been an interesting guy to nominate early on. But QB kind of drying up quickly. Tight end. The top 3 have gone, but otherwise no one's touching it. And then running back, Brees Hall. But this would be an interesting team to have Baker on for me because I have Egbuka. However, in terms of my budget, I only have 23. I'm not dying to spend $11 at quarterback right now. But I'll get back to the board. Just as I mentioned it, JCM is nominated. This will be interesting. Fuck it, I'll get in for 2. I was also in at 5. He's up to 7. Now up to 8, up to 9. Johnny Football is in at 9 right now. And that's the price. No one's willing to go 10 on JCM. Given no one went 17 on Trayvon Henderson, I think that's a fair price there. But River Rat is nominating Olave. Olave now. Yes. Sometimes it does not help when people know your pre-draft rankings. I'm exceptionally high on Egbuka. And I might be right. He might be a steal at 28. Like, I think he might be this year's Brian Thomas Jr. But by comparison to everyone else, like, even just compared to Devontae Adams at 17, I obviously overspent. Olave goes for $5. That's wild. Laporta now nominated. I was wondering when tight end would be reintroduced back into the mix. But I have Kittle. I'm not going to be in the market on Laporta. He's now up to 6. Make that 8. Zach with a very valid point here. Evans was drafted in this lobby for 22. I took Egbuka for more than Evans. That doesn't feel that smart. But honestly, I didn't expect receiver to be this discounted. Like, when the trends of like Nico Jamar for 60 plus were happening, like, it's kind of crazy how cheap some of these receiver prices are later in this draft. But Ridley for 9. My max budget keeps me reluctant to click the button. Ridley now up to 14. And I was not going to max out my budget there for Ridley. But not a bad price. Compared to Adams though at 17, I'm not upset with my Adams investment. But let's take a look at the like overall players available. There's JSN still available. Brees Hall, Zay Flowers, Cortland Sutton, Devontae Smith, Waddle, Judy, JMO. Wow, a price on Judy pre-draft is very, very high. All right. Sutton right now up to $12. Sutton compared to Ridley, they're not that much different, but basically going for the exact same price. Sutton up to 13. We do not see 14. All right, my turn to nominate, and let's throw something into the mix in terms of budgets. Let's put JSN on the board. Feels like a little late for JSN here. But this will be curious. This will be interesting. We have Johnny Football, Seahawks fan, with the highest budget. I got in at 13, but can't go any higher. Would have been shocked if he went for 13. That would have been ridiculous. But now up to 28. Yeah, I was expecting something like this to happen. People are waiting for a player like JSN. And Riverat currently up to 37. Has Burrow, Gibbs, Xavier Worthy, and Trey McBride. And the budget's now down to $40. Has JSN for 37. All right. I had a feeling there was going to be some player that was going to be more expensive. All right. Brees Hall now up to $10. One of the last, like, elite upside running backs. Like, maybe RJ Harvey could do it. I mean, maybe Pacheco gets back to it, but to bet that Pollard is like top 10 and Aaron Jones, Tyrone Tracy, that feels kind of naive. Maybe Travis Etienne, though. Maybe, just maybe. Probably not, though. Okay. Brees up to 24. Right now, Gogo Bongzilla has McCaffrey, Nico Collins, and Mike Evans. Given the budgets, there's actually kind of like fewer players I would have expected to be drafted. Like, there's some rosters that are a bit thin given where the budget is based on like what I would have assumed earlier on. This is kind of interesting. I feel like we might get to the $1 nominations kind of quickly. But right now, Johnny Football, perhaps in the driver's seat, has an $80 budget, basically twice as much as anybody else. The next highest would be the Interference at 42. Pirate Ghost at 41. And then Sun God Squad and River Rat are both tied at 40. So an interesting dynamic going on right now in the like middle range of bids. Budget preservation is a big factor until we get to like $1 per bid. Like, there's a lot of nuance in this portion of an auction draft. And I think who you nominate and like which type of player your roster needs the rest of the way is a big factor, because we know running back kind of dries up, and if that's what you feel a bit desperate for, could be tricky. However, there's one team with 4 running backs. That's the Pasture Interference with Cook, Montgomery, Swift, and Scattaboo. Scattaboo, though, maybe doesn't factor in the same way as an RB4. But otherwise, this is the first other team, Stanishek with Pirate Ghost, to have 3 running backs. Otherwise, it was just me with a running back in the flex. Pirate Ghost has Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, and Tony Pollard. Michael Pittman about to go for $1. I had a feeling that might happen, but nope. At the last second, comes up to $2 and now $3. Interesting. We did it, Joe, trying to preserve the budget with their nomination and almost gets Pittman for the minimum bid. Instead, gets him for $3. Goat Mode asking, why does it say free agent next to Judkins? I'm confused. What's happening with him in Cleveland? He has yet to sign the contract. We got less than a week left, and he hasn't signed the contract, which means he hasn't practiced. Now, maybe his talent is good enough to where he doesn't really need to practice very much. Kind of can just be inserted and good to go. But the reason he's not officially with Cleveland, because they haven't signed him. Technically, if you want to go back to college, that's still on the table. But this is interesting. Caleb Williams up to $2. The QB position. Still relatively deep, honestly. And Goat Mode almost gets him for $2. Goat Mode is a Bears fan, but instead the interference is in at $3. A Vikings fan. Goes Caleb Williams to round out the starting roster. So interesting with the passer interference. They have 3 bench spots and 2 picks left after that, a defense and a kicker. Their budget's $39. Jason saying because he has an agent and went into the draft, he is no longer college eligible. Thanks for clarifying. Hawkinson almost goes for $1. Damn. That would have been a steal, but nope, back up to $4. Pre-draft was $7. And Salisbury's another Vikings fan. $4 on Hawkinson. Now, I do believe in Hawkinson, but I do have Kittle in a different level tier. And so even though I spent 20 on Kittle, I'm comfortable with it. Knowing Hawkinson went 4. I think that may look like just a really good price by comparison. Laporta went for 9. Hawkinson goes for 4. Maybe people don't believe in Hawkinson. Last year was a bit rough. But coming off the injury with J.J. McCarthy this year, he's going to be healthy, unlike last season. Devontae Smith almost goes for 8. Sun God Squad in for 10. I was in at 9. But I'll let him go. I'm not going to go in at 11. There's still kind of some good depth at receiver, honestly. Oddly enough. That's kind of what I expected. But QB nominated with Kyler. I think y'all know where I stand on Kyler. Almost goes for $2, but the interference gets in at 3. And the interference takes him. I did mention the bench situation for the interference. Only 2 spots left. So the backup quarterback behind Caleb is Kyler. Not a bad combo. A total of $6 investment. Both guys for $3. Not bad for the interference. But right now, Waddle's being nominated. And Waddle goes for 8. Waddle. Flowers right now. Flowers could be elite if he just scored touchdowns, but he's also like so volatile. $6 for Waddle. I mean for Flowers. Feels fair, given Waddle just went for 8 and Devontae for 10. But Jaden Blue nominated. This might be a $1 player. We'll see about that. Most likely. I mean, pre-draft value is 0. So, Ramley just trying to preserve the budget, basically. They have $19 with only 5 players drafted. And it looks like they have a chance at the Cowboys RB1. I'm going to throw out a tight end. Tyler Warren. Pre-draft value $1. Up to 5. Right now, Pirate Ghost in the lead. Pirate Ghost does not have a tight end yet. Johnny Football in at 6. Also no tight end. And now the interference in at 7. The interference does have Njoku at $6. Interference back in with 9. And with a $36 budget, 2 bench spots, and then kicker defense, I feel like the interference is willing to play ball. But football, Johnny, football in at 12, up to 13. This thing is, Tyler Warren's changing hands. Up to 14. The hype is real. The interference does not want to let go. 17 is the current asking price. Damn, I thought it was going to happen. Nope, up to 19 now. Shit. He's got the budget to do it. And that's where they call it. 19 for Tyler Warren. Not bad. I respect it. Understanding the roster situation. I respect it. Aaron Jones currently going up to 7. And running back, how deep is it after this? There's still RJ Harvey, Pacheco, Tyron Tracy, Warren, Caleb Johnson. But then beyond that, everyone's a backup. I guess maybe not Tank Bigsby day 1, but for the most part. Jones was one of the last starters you could take. Tet McMillan. This will be interesting. Boy, by comparison, I'm going to be regretting this Igbuka price so hard. There's no way I come out of this looking good compared to Tet. Right now he's up to 9. If he even gets close to 20, I'd be ecstatic by comparison, but not going to expect that. Pre-draft value 8, now up to 11. Riverat currently holding the top bid. And I did miss that. ETN went for $4 earlier in this draft. I did not notice that. Um, Zach, we are doing the subscriber league auction draft. That's why the board is not like filled in at every spot. This is the roster view. In terms of the offer view, I guess, nah, that's not definitely not the way to look at it. Definitely not. But I'll take Herbert at $2 in terms of my bid. Almost goes for $1. Almost missed it, but in terms of a floor play, I'll grab the Herbert Hampton stack. At least I'm rooting for my boys. Let's go. We gotta smoke some herb because we got Herbo. I mean, the dankest of herbs. Let's go. I, I wish Angus was live streaming with me because I just got a text from him to absolutely go fuck myself for outbidding him on Justin Herbert. Let's go. And we piss off Angus. Let's fucking go. Hasn't drafted anyone since Michael Pittman for $1. No, for $3. But Armin asking favorite strain. I think if I'm really, really feeling it, going indica, give me Skywalker OG. Sometimes hard to find. But there was a time when, in the early days of the California medical license, when that shit was so fucking pure. Waddle goes for 8. Jalen Waddle. Gotcha. Does not appreciate the slander. Saying he only drafted Pittman. He also got Waddle. I forgot that he went to your team. Indeed. I got to scroll down. But after I take Herbo, we do see Andrews go for $3. That's not bad. That's a pretty good price to Viva La Cheating. Caleb Johnson goes for $3 to Johnny Football. And then Ramondre Stevenson for $2 to Sun God Squad. Interesting to see the Broncos defense currently up to $5. I guess that was the nomination. Oh no, he naturally went that high. He, as in them, the Broncos defense. Now up to $7. Definitely probably the easiest pick for 101, but how much better will they be than everyone else? Not sure. But understandable why he's going for this price. I definitely am not capable of bidding that much, so I'm not going to take him. But I'll be okay. Trey Benson nominated. I imagine River Rat is just going to get him. Jason Calhoun does not have James Conner. So that's an interesting option. Currently, Johnny Football outbidding him for $2. Johnny Football has Taylor, Jacory, Caleb Johnson, and now Trey Benson at running back. Pickens now on the board. Pickens up to $8. Pre-draft was 11. And in terms of wide receivers left available, he's near the top of ADP. Now up to 11. Pirate Ghost in at 12. Pirate Ghost has CeeDee Lamb as well. So Pirate Ghost, a believer in the Cowboys passing game. All right. There is kind of a big advantage in favor of Johnny Football right now. It has a $75 budget and can afford the $17 bid on Pickens. All right, Pickens goes for 17. Matthew Golden nomination. River at up to 6. I'm in at 7. He's up to 8. We did just see Pickens go for 17. Fuck. Damn. Almost had him at 9, but Pirate Ghost in at 10. Pirate Ghost not fucking around. You can have him. Pirate Ghost can afford it more than I can. Pirate Ghost had $28 going into that auction. I had 21. Now he's down to 18. I would have been down to 11 with my starting roster filled out minus defense and kicker, but still my entire bench. Eckler for 1. That's interesting. I'm going to nominate Evan Ingram. No. You're okay. What's going on? Hey. No. I know. You're okay. I'm sorry. Cat wants attention. Sadly, this is just not the moment. She got some treats already. Can't go overboard. Ingram up to 12. Interesting. I thought there was a chance I could get him for less than 5, but that's kind of curious. We did see Tyler Warren go for 19, but then Laporta went for 9. TJ Hawkinson went pretty cheap. No. Damn. Pacheco for 2. Okay, he's up to 4. Pacheco rising. Not many teams have 3 running backs. Most teams are still rolling with 2 running backs. There was a time when I thought maybe I'd get Pacheco for like $4, but now he's up to 14. Damn. Okay. Very interesting. The interference with their last bench spot, willing to risk it all, gets him for 14. Good pick. Pass interference. There were not many running backs you could trust remaining. But Pearsall nominated. Up to 3, 4, 5, $6. Dang. Go Bongzilla in at 12. You can have him. I was in at 11. Damn. Kelsey up. Somebody gave me a box of Temptations. These cat treats. I think there's something in it that just like makes the cats go crazy for it. Indeed. Calling the shots. But Keenan nominated. That's interesting. Redraft value $1. Dawkins in for 3. Damn. Would have been nice to stack up Herbert with Keenan, but that entire Chargers receiving room is a little crowded sometimes. But the interference is nominating kicker. They only have defense kicker and kicker left, so a very fair nomination. Pirate Ghost, though, wants the Ravens' new kicker. Justin Tucker, long gone. Tyler Loop, the new guy in Baltimore. Don't know much about him, but definitely a good offense to be investing in terms of kicking opportunity. We got Judy here. I'm going to be honest. Judy's not going to be someone I bid on. All right. So there's still a lot of benches that have not been filled out, other than the pasture interference, who's about to be done with the draft soon. There's not that many benches that have been filled out. But only bummer about these types of nominations at this point in time. We do got to sit through the entire timer on a $1 player. Not the best thing. But Butker does go to GOAT mode for $1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. Purdy now nominated. If I did get Pearsall, I almost took for $11. He ended up going for 14, no, for 12. Then maybe I'd be in the market for Purdy. But given I do have Herbert already, maybe it's going to save me a wasted pick. Purdy goes for $1. No, it's $2 to go Bongzilla. I at least bid on RJ Harvey at $12, but he's up to 15. And he goes to Johnny Football. Nice. Johnny Football also nearing the end of this draft with a quarterback yet to be taken, one bench spot, and then the defense and kicker. $25 remaining for Johnny Football. Let's take a look at Johnny's team because Taylor, JCM, Caleb Johnson, Trey Benson at running back, and then at receiver, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, George Pickens, and Jerry Jeudy, and then just added RJ Harvey for running back depth. Harvey for 15, not bad. Jalen Warren now up to 6. Roma Dunze, most recent nominee. Now up to 8. Oh, it's tempting for sure. Very tempting. But I'm going to let him go. Damn. Gonna go QB. Let's put Bo Nix up there for $1. $1 Bo Nix. Now up to $2. Now up to 6. Jamison Williams, now nominated. And it is 9:15. We do have Sun God Squad on auto. Damn. He did tell me he has a class at this point. He is kind of busy. So we'll see what ends up happening with him. His max budget would be $14. Jake Ferguson nominated. And now Jake Ferguson does go for $4. Let's take a look at the max budget. Currently, me and Sun God Squad have the highest at $14. I get Drake May for 4. You use the budget. I knew I needed 2 quarterbacks when my first is Herbert. Feel good with his floor. I need someone I wanted for the upside. Give me Drake May. We also have Travion in this team, so there is a potential stack there, and I think somebody might be pissed off. Debo currently going for 8. No! Oh my god. Shit. I typed in a bid and fuck, I ran out of time. Crap. Damn it. Shit. I wanted Debo. I was about to bid 11 and max out the whole thing because we both had $11 maxes. Shit. Good pick. That's a bummer. My receiving core is tricky. That may be the downside of this team. Wide receiver. Right now, Cup is going for 3. There's only one team without a quarterback left. That's Angus's team. He's got Waddle on the bench, no QB, but Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Rashi Rice, Brian Thomas Jr., Michael Pittman Jr., and Jalen Waddle. And then Brock Bowers at tight end. Can't forget Bowers at tight end. There's a mosquito that I think I just killed. Braylon Allen up to $2. Pre-draft was 0. I almost got him for 3. Damn, now we got to get in at 5. Shit. Damn, up to 6. Okay, I don't think I'm going to go 7. I think 7's a little too high for a Jets running back. Not even the starter. But if I had a bigger budget, I probably would keep going. Braylon Allen is who I wanted as a bench piece on this team. Really high upside if Breece Hall goes down, but not willing to spend $7. Felt kind of gross at 5. But Brandon Aubrey up to $3. I don't think this is a team I'm going to overspend on kicker, so I'm not bidding. But Johnny Football gets him for $3, and he only has 1 spot left. That's the defense spot, and $3 remaining on the budget. Tajay nominated. That's kind of interesting. I was in at 2, now he's up to 3. Okay, I take him for 4. I might regret that, but I can put him in the IR slot. It's the only reason I'm willing to spend 4 on him. But I'll get an extra pick out of it. He may clog up the IR slot for a long time. I may not be happy that I can't put anyone else on an IR. But at the end of the day, we got an extra roster spot once this draft is over. The only benefit of drafting a player like that. Jordan Mason goes for 4. My turn to nominate. We'll go Addison. I'm going to let him go. I almost went in at 5. Bummer. Oh, shit. That was a mistake. But at least I have some level of floor. Only have 3 more spots. But kind of a bummer there to go in at 7. I thought the auto team might go higher, but the max was 6. So the strategy there would have been to bid 6 myself and then not have to go that extra $1. But I feel okay about that. Could have been worse. I did box myself in early on when we depleted the budget, but I'm okay with this. T-Law for $1. I'm definitely not bidding on this. I already have 2 quarterbacks. May and Herbert. Gets him for $1. All right, we are approaching the later end of this draft. We're at nomination 116. And we're just filling out most people's bench. But Nick Chubb currently up to $4. What's running back looking like? We have Tracy still available, Dobbins still available, Javante, Bigsby, Rashad, Quinshon. Wonder if anyone's going to take Quinshon in this. That'll be kind of random. But beyond Quinshon, only Bashal Tootin before we hit the $0, which is sometimes undrafted. Pass interference goes with Texans defense. And if he gets them, then this team will be full. We'll review pass interference roster if this does indeed go his way. All right, so first team full, we got the pasture interference, who has Caleb Williams for $3 and Kyler Murray also for $3 at quarterback. At running back, they got James Conner at 30, David Montgomery at 13. On the bench, there's Swift at 13 and Scadaboo for 4, along with Isaiah Pacheco also for $14. Wide receiver has Neighbors for 54. Also has DK Metcalf for 15, DJ Moore for 13, and then Travis Hunter for 10. Tight end has David Njoku for 6, and also Tyler Warren for 19. Texans defense, Will Lutz is the kicker. Thank you for drafting with us. Pasture interference. Pretty good roster. The wide receiver is really, really dope. And then if Warren is that guy, maybe you could trade Njoku, have a good piece. Running back room is pretty solid. Not bad depth. Connor at James Cook, at a good price, $30. But Shakir up to $3, now up to $4. And the budgets are getting tight. We got a $3 max, a $5 max, $7 max, a $2 max. A $14 max is the highest overall. And then there's a 2, 2, 3, 0, 3, 3, 4. There's one team that's done. If you saw something flicker and change in terms of your budget there, I clicked the setting to display max offers instead of remaining budgets. Let's stick with remaining budget. Sorry. If you got freaked out there, sorry about that. Charbonnet nominated. We'll see what happens with Charbonnet. Cobra asking, do we have the Fab or waivers? We got Fab. They run daily. And last year, the minimum bid was $1, so you could run out of waiver acquisitions. However, this year, the minimum bid is $0. So even if you spend all the Fab, technically you can still work the waiver wire. You're not done completely. You just can't get anyone for more than $1. Looks like Jonathan is done as well. Yes, Jonathan is done. Godwin going for $2. Also a player you can put on IR. So some value in that extra roster spot. I have to nominate next, so right after that, we'll take a look at Jonathan's roster. But Beischel Tootin, currently up to $2. And I think he's going to go to Angus's team. We did it, Joe. You get Beischel Tootin for $2. Stacked up with Trevor Lawrence. What a stack. But some high end of season value. Tyron Tracy goes to, I got Ramley for $4 in the same situation as I am. 5 more roster spots, $5. I got 6. But let's take a look at Johnny Football's team. He has Bo Nix as the quarterback. He also has Jonathan Taylor at running back, along with JCM, Bill Krosky Merritt, along with Caleb Johnson for $3, and Trey Benson. He spent 9 on JCM, 41 on Taylor. He also got RJ Harvey for $15. Not bad with RJ Harvey there. That does change things. Love RJ Harvey on this roster. We got Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Olave, along with Pickens and Judy, and Rome for $8. Judy for 6, Pickens for 17, Olave for 5, Harrison for 20, and London for 45. Pretty deep receiving core with this one. And then Ingram for 12. Defense is Seahawks. Kicker is Brandon Aubrey. Not bad. Not bad. But Fields did just go for $1 to We Did It, Joe. He's got the combo of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields for a total of $2, each $1 a piece. Not bad price on Justin Fields there. A bit random in terms of knowing when to start, but elite upside. Could be a steal of the draft potentially. Good pick with Justin Fields. And nomination as well. The team on auto, sadly, is slowing this draft down. That's unfortunate. But so far, we're still doing okay. That team has a lot of bench spots still. And what's strange is, like, sometimes there's nominations that you'd think the auto would max out the bid, but it just doesn't happen. The only bummer of doing this draft late is because we do run into some time constraints. But Kyle Pitts actually going to get drafted here. For $1, you can tolerate it. Goat mode goes Kyle Pitts for $1. Also has Kelsey for $4. Not bad. But obviously, the tight end one, the 101 on that team is Kyle Pitts. It does kind of feel like maybe there have been so many, what do you call it? Memes and like jokes that are like so repetitive about Kyle Pitts being asked this season. What if he's actually really good? What if it actually is like the most ironic situation you could think of? I doubt it, but what if? Goat mode. I hope he does. For the sake of your team, I hope he does. I would love to see you benching Kelsey every week for Kyle Pitts. That'd be beautiful. Jaden Reed for $1. Receivers in a weird spot here. Um, let's try it. All right. I'll take it. $1 Ray Davis. We preserve the budget. So far I have 5 running backs. I have let me take a look back at my roster. I have Bijan Robinson for 59, Omarion Hampton for 37, Travion Henderson for 16. I got Tajay for 4. I can put him on IR, and then Ray Davis for 1. My tight end is George Kittle for $20. My quarterback depth is Herbert for 2 and Drake May for 4. I know week 1, I'm probably going to start Drake May against the Raiders. I don't fear the Raiders defense. That's one of the best matchups you could ask for. And then my receiving room is Devontae Adams for 17, Emeka Egbuka for 28, and Jacoby Myers for 7. All right. But I already have a player clugging up my IR in Tyjae Spears. I'm not going to afford an Ayuk selection, as tempting as it is. Okay, 4 nominated. Looks like we got a donation. Timon Shomus, thank you for the $2. Can you look at my last message when you can? Sure. Well, Jerome Ford is nominated. I can definitely do that. I assume it's not Yo Yo Yo. Okay, here we go. 10 team half PPR. Would I trade DJ Moore, Travis Hunter, Chubb for Kittle, Rice, and Corum? I have Amon-Ra, Terry, Keon, Demario, Downs, Chase Brown, Kyron Pacheco, Braylon, BRJ, Goddard, Lamar, redraft, 3 wide receiver, 2 flex. Let me think about it. Getting rid of DJ Moore, Travis Hunter, and Chubb for Kittle, Rice, and Corum. Yeah, I think I would do that. I think I would do that. I'm kind of worried about DJ Moore this year. Chubb, I think, is worthless for you. Not expecting much usage for Chubb. Not expecting many good things in the first place for Chubb. So running back is pretty irrelevant in my opinion. It's mainly like DJ Moore and Travis Hunter for Kittle and Rice. And the randomness with Travis Hunter for the elite tight end and Rashi, I think I would do. I think I'd rather have the Kittle side of that trade. But that would only happen if I'm really correct about DJ Moore losing value. DJ Moore, I don't think is like that safe of an acquisition and like a weekly start. I might be terribly off base, but starting week 7, once Rice is there, then I think you're definitely winning the trade. I think I'd go Kittle and Rice, but I would be looking to shop Goddard once that happens, which is sometimes hard to do. But thought I might be nominating there, but nope, we got one more nomination first. Mixon. Can't say I'm gonna drop $2 on Mixon. Not with the running back core I have. I get it. Also, you can put him on IR, so that's not bad, but I'm not going to deplete my budget for my 6th running back. Just can't afford to do it. I'll try it. I did put down $2 because there's not that many people that can outbid me, and I do get him for $2. All right, that was the player I was more willing to drop that extra dollar on. Okay, I'm at least a little more comfortable at wide receiver. Having the 4th guy be Jaden Higgins is really the last call for a safety net, in my opinion. So, whew. Let's go. Really the only one I was willing to spend that extra dollar on. Anybody else didn't move the needle for me at all. So thankfully the team on auto did not outbid me. That's all I can ask for. Sweet. Jaden Higgins at $2 might be the saving grace of this team. Might make up for the potentially ridiculous overspend on Igbuka, but overall I love the team. Overall I think I'm chilling. Adams, Igbuka, Jacoby Myers, and Jaden Higgins as my 4 receivers. I think I'll be all right. And then I can start a running back at flex. That's going to be an advantage. I got Bijan, Hampton, and Travion Henderson. My tight end's Kittle. That's fire. Quarterback Drake May, the Herbert combo. Love that. Love that for me. And then we'll get some roster flexibility with Tyjae with a late season swing for the fence. And then Ray Davis, who knows? Maybe my call on Ray Davis actually does work out just a little bit. But then the Jaden Higgins selection, very happy with that. And yes, if I had $78 to actually bid, I would totally drop it on Jaden Higgins. But thankfully I can get it done with just 2. Ravens defense nominated. Not a bad decision. And this team is down to defense and kicker in the first place. All right. Getting down to the final 30 picks. Sadly, 7 of them are going to Sun God Squad, and that's what's slowing down this draft. Currently, other than the team on auto with $14, there's Pirate Ghost with a $3 max budget, and then Viva La Cheating with a $2 max budget. Everybody else has $1 if their team isn't full. Noticing some texts from Angus. He was very upset when I took Drake May. Very upset. I haven't even looked at defense. Sescuro got his defense for a steal, apparently. $1. Yeah. For the Ravens, $1. Shit. But that's kind of just how it goes. Like, defenses are going to go cheap, especially at this stage of the budgets. But Dicker nominated. That's a bummer. Would have loved Cameron Dicker on my team. Helped me win last year. That was fun. Riverat is mostly down to those two positions. And Viva La Cheating is going to get in for $2. Has the budget for it. Wants Cameron Dicker. Takes him. Not a bad pick. And Chris Dawkins, his team is done. He has Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Devon Achane at running back. Wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Mark Andrews at tight end. Starting flex is technically Keenan Allen. Also has Jordan Addison, Cooper Kupp, Jameson Williams. Oh, no, that's Javonte Williams. Goat Mode's team also done. He's got Mahomes at QB with Dak Prescott on the bench. Also has Kyron Williams and Alvin Kamara. Also has Nick Chubb and Rashad White. Has Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, and Garrett Wilson. Tight end Kelsey along with Pitts. Defense Steelers and Butker. And then Ayuk is also on this team along with Juwan Jennings at receiver. We're at that point in the draft. I'll take a swing here. I'm going to go Jake Elliott. Maybe I get him. I think so. Because Pirate Ghost has already taken their kicker. Sescuro definitely going to be swapping out Keenan in the flex, but does believe in the Keenan-Herbert connection. If Keenan stays healthy, he's going to crush. But Shaheed nominated. Receivers running thin. Okay. This is definitely a bummer that we got to wait through this entire timer. That sucks. Now Judkins. Wouldn't expect to see Judkins actually nominated, but Angus going for it. I get it. The upside's undeniable. Will he ever get on the field, though? What's going to happen there? I don't know. Pirate Ghost goes in it for $2. Not going to go to Angus's team. Damn. Didn't see that coming. But Bryce Young now nominated. Interesting. There's Jordan Love also on the board. Tua on the board. But Bryce Young gets nominated. There's some rushing value for Bryce Young. Final bench spot for Salisbury. River Rat now nominating. He's got $1 max bid as well. Running back is definitely getting thin. He doesn't have Taylor, but he is drafting the Colts handcuff. At least trying to. Oof. All right, so Riverette has Burrow, Gibbs, ETN, Worthy, JSN, McBride, Tet McMillan. Also has Jamison Williams, Josh Downs at receiver, and then running back Charbonnet, Dylan Sampson, and DJ Giddens. Nah, there's no receiver I'm like desperate to take right now. Not really. So instead, I'll go with the defense nomination. Might go double Eagles. Let's do that. Eagles should have a really good defense. Drafted Jihad Campbell as well at the end of the first round. All right, so double Eagles in terms of my kicker and defense. Got Jake Elliott and the Eagles defense both for $1. I like that. They do have the same buy, but who cares? Actually, that may be kind of unfortunate. Might have to drop one. You don't want to do that. Fuck. Yeah, whatever. I'll figure it out. But Sun God Squad does take Jordan Love as the backup quarterback. How long have we been streaming for? Almost 3 hours. The draft started 15 minutes into the live stream, and that's probably how long it's going to take. A little less than 15 minutes to finish this up. Just because of the Sun God Squad auto situation. That karma's coming back to you, my friend. Making us sit through this. You'll pay for this. No one's gonna trade with you after this situation you put us under. But I only have one more dollar left. I only have one more pick. We're getting down to it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks. And then Sun God Squad is just going to rattle off top of ADP. So maybe only like 5, 10 minutes, somewhere in there. Not 15. Probably not. But Shamrock asking any more Jacoby news today? I hope not. I mean, I hope it was something positive. I am a little worried about that trade request from Jacoby Myers. But given my situation, I kind of needed him. But I don't know what's going to happen there. That is tricky. Stafford just nominated by Ramley. He does not have a backup quarterback. He's got Lamar and Puka. And for the sake of my team with Adams on it, I sure hope Stafford's healthy. Sure hope so. Okay, my turn to nominate. I think I got to nominate a receiver given my situation. which means what are we going to do here? I'm going to nominate Demario Douglas. Sorry for making y'all wait. But just give me some floor. I at least know Demario's like on the field week 1. And if I need to insert him, I'm probably cutting Demario though. I can't imagine I'm keeping Demario. Bit of a panic situation. Just to get the last pick. I really didn't know where I was going to go there. Anyways, that's my last pick. My full roster is Justin Herbert, Drake May at QB. Running back Bijan, Hampton, Travion Henderson. I also have Tyjae Spears and Ray Davis. And then tight end is Kittle with the Eagles defense and Jake Elliott. And then my receiving core is Devontae Adams, Egbuka, Jacoby Myers, Jaden Higgins, and Demario Douglas. The Demario pick is pretty random, kind of irrelevant. But 9 picks left. We see Jake Bates nominated. Lions kicker. And now Salisbury on the clock. Eduardo Crocchio just needs a defense for his final roster. So let's see who he nominates. Goes to the Lions defense. So he's got Baker Mayfield at QB. J.J. McCarthy is the backup. Saquon Kenneth Walker, not bad at running back. Also has Najee and no other depth beyond Najee. Also has Bryce Young. So kind of thin at running back, but at the top it's pretty loaded. Wide receivers Amon-Ra, Terry McLaurin, Cortland Sutton. And then Deebo Samuel, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims. Really good receiving core on this team. Very strong. Tight end is TJ Hawkinson for $4. And then the defense is the Lions kicker Cam Little, who nailed that 70-yarder in the preseason. But someone's upset that this is lasting so long. She wants to go to bed. That's all right. Evan McPherson, not a bad kicker to nominate. Bengals kicker. And I think Riverette is almost done. One more selection. But Sun God Squad goes Adam Thielen. We did it, Joe, going with the Cardinals. Who did the Cardinals play week 1? Did they get the Saints? I think they get the Saints. Okay. Otherwise, I was like, well, that's a strange pick. But week 1 Saints matchup, not bad. I get a week 1 Cowboys matchup. I think that's kind of underrated, actually. Yes. Very valid. Good call, Cobra. She sensed the Bengals selection. Had to come say hello. But we are down to the wire. Final few picks. Riverat getting his last bench spot with Keaton Mitchell. And then next up, we'll see Sun God Squad grab someone, and I think it's going to rattle off very quickly. Goes Tillman. Angus goes Luther Burden, drafted, and now the final 2 picks have been taken. All right, that's it. My final roster, we go with Bijan for 59, Hampton for 37, Igbuka for 28. Probably cost me a lot. But Travion for 16, I think was a steal. Kittle for 20, I think is a good price. Adams for 17 kind of saves me a little bit. Herbert at 2, Drake May at 4 for $6. I love that combo. And then running back Tajay, we'll put him on IR. Jacoby for 7. Ray Davis for 1. Love that. And then Jaden Higgins for 2. Thank God I have Jaden Higgins. I'll be dropping DeMario for sure. And then the Eagles defense, Jake Elliott. That's my team. Let's see it in the full form that it is. But I know week 1, I'm starting Drake May against Las Vegas at home instead of Herbert in Brazil against the Chiefs. Nah, I'll pass on that. And then, like I mentioned, manage IR, Tajay, there you go. So we got a bench spot. Technically, I have 2 bench spots. DeMario, I'm not going to be keeping. I don't really know why I took DeMario. Maybe just knowing that it didn't really matter too much. But good last pick of the draft with Luther Burden going to Angus's team. That was actually pretty clutch. But guess who's my first matchup? Sun God Squad. Who made us sit through these auto selections. Ugh. I hope I crush him. What's the projection? I gotta know. You gotta find that out immediately. Currently, we're projected to win 118 to 114. We'll see about that. But his bench is a little shaky, given his situation. My bench, we got Jacoby. I think we're okay on the bench. Anyways, let's take a look at some other teams. Let's take a look at the draft recap. All right, here we go. I'll go over this a little bit more in depth in a separate video, but just for like the initial view of it, let's just recap this draft before I log off real quick. Let me do that. Okay. So already went over my final team. Let's move on to somebody else's. Angus is here listed second, so let's talk about him. He spent $50 on Brian Thomas Jr. That was his number 1 round pick. He also spent $41 on both Jacobs and Bucky, 2 second-round picks. Got Bowers for $32 as a third-round option. And then the last high-priced guy would be Rashee Rice for $13. Also got Waddle for $8, but then mostly just a bunch of $1 players. He has Jordan Mason and Michael Pittman for $4 and $3. Bashal Tutin for $2. And he has Lawrence, Justin Fields, Tyler Algier, Jake Bates, Cardinals, and Luther Burden. Love the Luther Burden pick. For $1. Excuse me. Need some water. Johnny Football had a more balanced approach for sure. There's only 1 player for $1, and it's a defense, so maybe a wiser use of the budget. Highest priced player was Drake London for $45. Also got Taylor for $41, so a pair of second-round picks. Took Marvin Harrison Jr. for $20. Got Pickens for $17. R.J. Harvey for $15. And then follows it up with Ingram for $12. Bo Nix for $11. A big Denver commitment. Also has JCM for $9. Along with Roma Dunze for $8. Olave for $5. Judy for $6. And then Caleb Johnson at $3. Brandon Aubrey for $3. Trey Benson for $2. And lastly, the Seahawks defense for $1. So very balanced approach. Pretty good depth everywhere. And then the Broncos stack does look pretty dope. Pirate Ghost. A little more overall, like a mixed bag. We see 2 really high-priced players, a lot of middle ground players, and then below $6, everybody else is either 2 or 1. So Pirate Ghost has CeeDee Lamb for $56, Chase Brown for $42. That feels like a very, very good price. Also has Chuba Hubbard for $26, Jalen Hurts for $21. Calvin Ridley for $14, Pollard for $13, Golden for $10. That could be clutch. Braylon Allen for 6, and then Tyler Loop, Tucker Kraft for 2, Ollie Gordon, Quinshon Judkins for 2, and then Jared Goff, Darnell Mooney, and the Patriots defense all for 1. Pretty balanced. I like the team. Love the Chase Brown value. Looking back on it. Gogo Bongzilla goes with 2 elite options. Goes Nico Collins for 60 and Christian McCaffrey for 53. Damn. That is a lot when you consider some of the really cheap receivers in this draft. But also gets Breece Hall for 26, Mike Evans for 22. Nice price on Evans for sure. Ricky Pearsall for 12 is pretty valuable. And then the Broncos defense, possibly the defense number 1 this season. Also has Jalen Warren for 6, a starting running back for depth. Not a bad price there. And then Purdy for 2, Dobbins for 3, Keon for 2, and then everybody else is $1. Kincaid, Brian Robinson Jr., Matt Gay, Vikings defense, and Xavier Legette. Not bad. Nico better pay off. My only risk with Nico is that he's getting hurt quite often, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Good luck, Gogobong. CMC and Nico, big investment. I hope it pays off. Should be really fun to watch, though. Those 2 guys are fucking studs. Sun God Squad goes Jamar Chase for 66 on auto. This was the heavily auto team towards the end of it. Also has T. Higgins for 31, Jaden Daniels for 27, James Conner for 27, Devontae for 10, Laporta for 9, and Aaron Jones for 8. And then with Ramondre at 2, everybody else is $1. Shaheed, Love, Goddard, Thielen, Tillman, Colts defense, and Tyler Bass. Bit of a heavy investment up top. Those top 4 picks are all pretty good. If Connor goes down, though, running back gets kind of thin beyond him. Running back might be a problem there. But we'll see what happens. Salisbury goes with some studs and duds as well. Gets Saquon for 60, Amon-Ra for 46, Walker at 27, and then Terry at 22. Grabs Sutton for 13, Baker for 10, and Debo for 9. That Debo pick, really dope. I remember being jealous of that. Hawkinson, I think, a great value for $4. Godwin for 3. And then McCarthy, Najee, Mims, Bryce Young, Cam Little, Lions defense, all for $1. Interesting 3 quarterback strategy. But for $1, it doesn't. The difference between McCarthy and Bryce Young, not that big of a deal. Goat mode goes Jefferson for 55, Kyron for 38, Tyreek for 32, Kamara for 29, Garrett Wilson for 20, and then Mahomes at 9 with the Kelsey Butker stack. Nick Chubb at 4, that's interesting. But Juwan Jennings for 2, that might be the steal of the draft we're talking about like 5 weeks from now. But if he goes on IR, it might be tricky. Viva La Cheating has Derrick Henry at 50, A-Chain at 43, Allen at 35, and A.J. Brown at 42. And then everybody else is $6 or less. Diggs at 6, Ferguson at 4, Addison at 4, Andrews at 3, Keenan at 3, Kupp at 3, Bigsby at 2, Dicker at 2, Ravens, Ford, and Javonte. I hope Devon A-Chain is as good as promised. I hope I'm wrong about Devon A-Chain, but he kind of scares me. And then the last 3 teams, I got Ramley paying 52 on Puka, 49 on Ashton Genty, and then 37 apiece on Ladd and Lamar Jackson, the elite QB strategy. And then Flowers for 6 for the stack. Has Colston Loveland for 4, Shakir for 4, Tyrone Tracy for 4, and then everybody else $1 with Blue, Eckler, Jaden Reed, Mixon, McLaughlin, Rams, and Stafford. Not bad. Not bad at all. The depth, I think, for the price is actually pretty solid. Like, Tracy could be really, really useful for a while. Same with Eckler. Like, all the hype went to JCM, but Eckler should be usable for a long time. Not bad. Bench is pretty solid. Riverat has highest priced Gibbs at 60, then drops down to JSN at 37, McBride at 36, so a pair of third-round picks. And then Joe Burrow at 15, Jameson Williams at 14. I wish I had Jameson Williams. Xavier Worthy for 12. That's pretty fire. Tet for 11. Receiving is dope on this team. Receiving is really, really good. And then at 4, you got Etienne and Charbonnet. And then Josh Downs for 2, Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens, Bills defense, McPherson, and Keaton Mitchell for $1. Lastly, we got the pasture interference, the first team that finished their roster. So we have mentioned it earlier on. But a final recap, Neighbors at 54, highest priced option. James Cook at 30. And this team had such a balanced budget. There's probably some elite depth on this team. We got Metcalf for 15, Tyler Warren for 19, Pacheco for 14, Montgomery and Swift for 13, DJ Moore also for 13, and then for 10, Travis Hunter, along with $6 Njoku, and then Scattaboo at $4, Caleb $3, and then Will Lutz, Texan defense. This is a pretty deep roster at every position. This team is pretty interesting. The quarterback is Caleb and Kyler. Damn, okay. Pasture interference may have one of the scariest depth teams, but hopefully the running backs all stay healthy. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. This draft went a little bit longer than we hoped, but we're all set. We're all good, and I hope you enjoyed. Leia says hi. Leia's tired of my shit. Tired of this going on. She wants the lights off. She wants to go to sleep. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for watching, and we'll be back to some regular content soon, but the Subscriber League is really the main league I care the most about, and I'm really excited to play in it this year. Thanks, y'all, for participating. Good luck to everyone. May the best man win. Good night.